Hi everybody, here I am live and just waiting to see that you guys are logging on and that you can hear me okay. And if you can hear me okay, you can give me a thumbs up that you hear me okay. And today's video, it's a really big topic today and I wanted to just get started right away. The topic is insulin resistance and you. You guys can hear me okay? Great. Okay, and Julie, thanks for joining us. And here we are at the very last Friday in June. We have, hey Christina, we have summer festivities in full swing now, right? Barbecues, pool parties, great weather, friends, yummy food, and awesomer drinks, right? Hey Tennille. And here I am talking about healthy eating. I mean, do I ever suck this right now, right? Hey Nikki, hey Melinda. It doesn't matter. Maybe watching these videos will get you revved up for improved eating when the holidays are over, if they don't get you revved up right now, right? Hi Tennille, hi Nikki. Guys, so we have a long weekend in Canada. This weekend we're celebrating Canada Day. It's actually on Monday. Monday, July 1st is Canada Day. So it's kind of like our July 4th for Americans, but for Canadians. Hi Lisa, we got a super great topic today. It's a big weekend for us in Canada. What are you guys doing this weekend? Melinda, Lisa, Tennille, guys, Nikki, what are you guys doing this weekend? We will be partying hardy over here in Canada, eh? Anyways, today's topic is a biggie. Casey, hey. It's such an important topic because, as you guys all know, I am the low-carb, ketogenic, RHN, bariatric holistic nutritionist, Erica. I specialize in bariatric nutrition and surgery coordination, but most of us don't know why it's so important to be low-carb or to be keto, right? We know this, we don't know why. We just keep doing it, right? We're like, oh, it's better to eat the berries and not the orange, and oh, it's better to eat the fatty cut of meat. Melinda says that she's celebrating the 4th. I know. So the 1st is on Monday, which means the 4th is on Thursday. Tennille, you're going to be relaxing. Good for you. Kasim, hey. So we're going to be partying over here. That's just the bottom line, right? I have this special cocktail I'm going to be making, and I forget the name of it now. It's like a bitter orange mixed with Prosecco, with a little bit of club soda. My sister told me about it last weekend, and I thought to myself, wow, that sounds really good. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so I'm totally off topic here. I was just talking about how, Desiree, how I'm a specialized in low carb or keto. And when we truly understand the concept and the reasoning behind this style of eating, then it's going to resonate within us. It's going to make sense, right? It becomes much easier to follow this lifestyle. Right? Guys, here we go. I'm fortunate because I get to write about these really important issues that affect my clients' health and their lifestyle, right? And I also get to educate them. And that's what I always promised myself, that I would take the time and educate people about the serious stuff and be able to offer effective solutions, right, to your problems after surgery, before surgeries. And this is going to allow you guys not just survive, but to really thrive and to embrace this lifestyle. So, insulin. This is my chance to discuss about insulin because it really, truly affects all of us. It's such a important topic. And if you don't have time to watch the whole video, save it, go back to it, because I really want you guys to understand insulin and how insulin affects us. Hi, Janelle. So let's talk about obesity, right? And obesity, it's a disease. It's not something created by lack of character. It is a hormonal disease. And there are so many hormones involved in this disease. But one of the main hormones is called insulin. Insulin, it's all about insulin. So if we can first better understand insulin, then we can better understand how and why we should be adapting to the low carb and ketogenic lifestyle after having bariatric surgery. If you guys have any questions, jump in, okay? If you understand insulin, put your hands up. It took me a while to really get the hang and understand insulin, but as soon as I got it, I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. Nels, hey Nels, how's it going? Are you on your way back from Tijuana, or are you still there right now? So this is the part that really excites me, because if I can explain how the hormone insulin works, then it's going to make perfect sense to you, just like it made sense to me when I was back in school years ago. And you understand why we have to take this style of eating really, really seriously. So the information I'm giving you today is not just for recent post-op clients. It's for those of you that are 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, 20 years post-op. It's for all of us. And I just want to allow insulin to take center stage just for a few moments here. So most obese individuals are resistant to the hormone insulin. But what does that mean? Like, what is that exactly, to be resistant to insulin? What does that mean? Okay, insulin resistance is essentially a state of pre type 2. So it's insulin's job to drive glucose, which is blood sugar, into the cells where it can be used. So in a nutshell, when someone is insulin resistant, hey, and Julie, I'm going to stop right there. You're home, Nels, you got back last night? Okay, right on. I was thinking about you earlier today. And Julie says, I'm insulin resistant due to PCOS. Okay, exactly. It's a metabolic disease, Angelia. Now, hang on tight and listen to this. In a nutshell, when someone's resistant to insulin, they're having trouble to get blood sugar to go into the cells. And our blood sugar can't just hang around in the blood when we eat, because if that was the case, then we would all have a diabetic crisis every time we ate. Blood sugar just can't hang out, right? So the body's response to this is just make more of it. And insulin levels are going to rise, and they're going to rise for a while, for years, right? Blood sugars can even remain normal. Tennille, insulin resistant also. Hi, Karen, Chris. Hey, Karen. So we're at the point, okay, so Karen, we talked about this earlier, about insulin resistant. Also, Melinda, I was diabetic before surgery, blood sugars in the 300 to 400 every day. Now I'm in the 120s without meds. Awesome. So this video is so important for you, Melinda. Do you understand 100% insulin's job and how it works and what insulin resistance mean? The fact you're a diabetic before surgery, that's so awesome, and so much more important even that you take care about this issue, because it can always come back. It's not like you just don't have diabetes. It's like it's in it's not active right now, right? If you eat too many carbs and don't exercise, it will come back to those levels again. Your blood sugars will go back high again. 120s, you're doing terrific, Belinda. Travis, Larry Sutton, hey guys. So we're talking about how for even years and years, blood sugars can remain like in a completely normal state. However, it doesn't last forever. It can't keep up. And even though those elevated insulin levels, they're elevated, it's just not enough to keep blood sugars in their normal range, right? Melinda, that's what happened to you. It starts to rise, and it starts to rise. And you know what that is? That's diabetes. That's diabetes, right? So, you're in remission, exactly. Melinda's in remission right now. So, you got to be really careful, and I know that your diet is on point and you're taking care of your diet, and you know how it feels to not have to take medications anymore, and how it feels to not have to worry so much about your blood sugars. But you don't want that situation again. So it's not going to surprise you that most of my clients have insulin resistance or diabetes. Hands up, who out there has it, or who just doesn't know about it yet. Because if you're thinking to yourself, phew, that's not me, you might actually want to think again. 50% of adult Americans right now have diabetes or pre-diabetes. That's like 120 million people, but that's hardly everybody that has issues with insulin resistance, right? And as I was saying, people have elevated insulin levels due to insulin resistance for years or even decades before the diagnosis of even pre-diabetes is made. My A1C was 7.2 before surgery, now 15 months later. Ooh, that's a big drop. That's really good at 4.2. Way to go, Tennille. You're just rocking it, Tennille. So it's been shown also that 25% of normal weight adults are also insulin resistant. Check that out. So So in case we're keeping track of all this, that's a heck of a lot of us. That's just a lot of people who have insulin resistance, which is essentially pre-diabetes before they're even they even know about it. So the trouble with insulin resistance is that if it goes up, we're at great risk for developing type 2 diabetes, right? Might be able to control it for a while, but we're at great risk. But you know what, guys? Insulin makes us hungry. Ha! The food we eat is much more likely to be stored as fat. And so insulin is our fat storage hormone, right? Now you can see how it's going to be a problem, right? It's going to be a problem for diseases like obesity and metabolic issues like diabetes and PCOS, Melinda. But what if we turn around now and we track this problem back to the very beginning, and we just didn't have so much glucose or sugar to deal with that's hanging around that insulin has to essentially deal with, right? So how would that look to us if we didn't have so much of this glucose or sugar? How am I doing? Pretty good? Cool. So guys, everything we eat is either a carbohydrate, a protein, or a fat. Okay? Now I'm going to bring it all together. Insulin resistance and food. Okay. Everything we eat. There's 3 macronutrients. Carbohydrate, protein, or fat. Steve, I was taking 300 units of insulin per day per surgery. Now I take 30. I'm still a little diabetic. Blood sugars go down without eating. A1C was 11 pre-surgery, that's 7.5. That is really good too. I think we can push that even lower, Steve, if we really focus on food and a little bit of exercise also, right? Really focus on the right thing. But you're doing super, Steve. Right on the ball. So yeah, everything we eat is a protein, a carbohydrate, and a fat. And they each have a very different reaction or different effect on glucose and on our insulin levels also, right? So imagine I have a graph here. Actually, I was going to get a graph and I forgot to put it up on the computer. So when we eat carbohydrates, our insulin and glucose spike up like this. They spike straight up there, like potatoes, cake, anything spikes, that's carbohydrate, right? But when we eat proteins, that spike looks a lot better. It's more like a round, comes up and does this and then falls down, right? But when we eat fat, you know what happens? Nothing. It's this flat line, right? This is going to wind up being super, super important, and why I'm going to translate this this graph, right? So your carbohydrates go straight up, your proteins are more of a winding ball, and your fats are a flat line essentially, right? So let's turn this into a real life, hey Megan, a real life situation. Okay, let's go back and think about the last time that we had we ate at a fast food joint. Okay, let's call it a hamburger, French fries, and a Coke, right? We've all gone out there and we all do it. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We all have those days, right? Hamburger, French fries, and a Coke. Okay, so there's rules to this game, right? And the first rule is that we're going to eat too much. We're going to be full. We're going to eat way too much. That's the first thing that happens, right? Hi, Martha. Okay, the second thing is that you're starving 1 hour after you eat. That's just the second rule. And you want to know why? Because the carbs in that meal cause glucose and insulin to skyrocket, right? They went up like this on this line and then came straight back down. And what happens is that triggers hunger, fat storage, and more cravings. So you think about it now. If you're, hey Paula, if you're insulin resistant to begin with, hey friend, and your insulin levels are already higher, then you really are hungrier all the time. And we have this dumb setup. It says eat carbs, your glucose goes up, your insulin goes up, and you have hunger and fat storage. Right? Terrible setup. We have this terrible setup. And so what kind of dietary recommendations have we been given? People that are insulin resistant, people that are diabetic, pre-diabetic, what kind of dietary recommendations have been given in the past, right? Or are still being given actually to this day, right? What have they been told up to now, okay? I'm kind of going to go on a rant now a little bit because my mom is a diabetic. Okay, she's been a diabetic on medications for many, many years now. And her team of caregivers tell her to, not her daughter, her other team of caregivers, she's been following their advice for many, many years. If you're watching, Mom, I hope I'm not, you get it. Anyways, I'm using type 2 diabetes and my mother as an example of the really bad food advice that we've all been given in recent years. Hey Amber, my mom is told to consume 40 to 65% of her diet in carbohydrates every day. Guys, that's a lot of carbs. Now remember what's going to happen to glucose, your blood sugar, and your insulin when we eat them. She's essentially being recommended, my mom is being recommended to eat exactly what is causing her problem. It sounds crazy, right? It's like totally crazy. Because at its root, her diabetes is a state of carbohydrate toxicity, right? We can't get the blood sugar into the cells, and that causes a problem in the short term. But in the long term, the consequences are even greater. So, going back to insulin resistance, what did I want to say? It's essentially a state of carbohydrate intolerance. Hey Paula, so why is my mom recommended to eat so many carbohydrates? Why do her other team of caregivers tell her to eat that level of carbohydrate, right? Okay, so Diabetes Canadian guideline, they specifically state that there's inconclusive evidence to recommend a specific carbohydrate limit, but then those guidelines go on to say carbohydrate intake is the single biggest factor in this ailment, and blood sugar levels are what does it say? And in their blood sugar levels, there's the need for medications. And then they say, hey, look, if you're taking insulin or certain diabetic medications, you have to eat carbs. Otherwise, your blood sugar can go too low. Hey, Steve, job security. Exactly. So this vicious circle my mom's in, right? We're kind of sometimes battle about this a little bit. So we look at the vicious circle, right? Eat carbs, so you have to take medication. Okay. And then you have to take more carbs, so you avoid the side effects of those same medications. And around and around and around we go. There, I just ranted. That feels pretty good. Okay. So let's consider who out there is not insulin resistant. I want to know who or doesn't know. I have always had the thought, well, not always, the last few years, even my blood sugars come back normal, I always think to myself, I am probably insulin resistant as well. Because the symptoms and signs of insulin resistant, they look like food panic. You're starving hungry and you can't wait for 5 seconds before you eat your next meal. Or you feel angry and irritated because you need to eat right now, right? Or what do you feel like? I feel like I ate 3 hours ago. Should I really be having a food panic and get really angry in the car as I'm driving to eat? What do you guys think that your signs of insulin resistance? Being chained to the refrigerator. Hey Maria. Okay, so let's consider carbs for a second. Let's just talk about carbohydrates for a second. You know what? We don't need them. Seriously, our minimum daily requirement for carbohydrates is zero. We have essential amino acids, those are proteins. We have essential fatty acids, those are fats, but no essential carbohydrates. A nutrient is essential if we need to have it in order to function. And we can't make it from something else, right? So we can make glucose, and we can make plenty of it all the time. And it's through a process called gluconeogenesis. Tennille says, I was told having PCOS to avoid all carbs or I would become diabetic. Yep, that was really good information they gave you. How long ago was that, Tennille? Was that recent, or was this something that was told to you years ago? Okay, so we don't need carbs. The overconsumption of carbs is making us very, very ill. Yet we're continuing to see them recommended to clients like my mom to consume more than half of their energy intake every day from it. It just doesn't make sense. Like Steve said, job security, right? Now post-bariatric surgery, I get so sleepy and sluggish if I overindulge in carbs. Absolutely. Melinda says, my doctor told me recently that PCOS is all part of diabetes. Yes, all connected, right? Metabolic issues. It's a metabolic disease. Hey, Jasna. So yeah, this Tennille, that sluggish feeling, that's the overconsumption of carbs. Amber Clark said, it doesn't make sense, it blows my mind. I know, it really pisses me off, Amber. Excuse me. It really irritates me. Yeah, and I try not to get on my soapbox and battle and try to give this information gently. But sometimes, okay, let's talk about what makes sense, right? Amen. Cutting carbs a lot, right? So I teach clients to eat with carbs as the minority of their daily intake, not the majority. So what does that look like? What does it look like when somebody eats that way? You know I'm going to get into keto now, right? You know I'm going to talk about keto, right? But let me tell you first of all what keto is not. Low carb is not keto, okay? It's not keto, okay? High protein is not keto. It's not high protein diet. Hey Jody, hey Rhonda. So those are the common criticisms that are so frustrating because guys, they're just not true. You know, and think about it next, if we take away the carbs, what are we going to put in our diet? Remember, there's only 3 macronutrients. So if one goes down, the other one has to come up. My clients are going to eat fat. And they're going to eat a good, hey Jose, they're going to eat a good amount of fat. And you know, what'd you say? What's going to happen if I eat fat? I'm going to get fat. No, let me tell you, you're going to be happy. You know why? Because fat tastes great and it's so super incredibly satisfying. But remember, fat is only the macronutrient that's going to keep our blood sugars and insulin levels low and stable. Remember that graph we went back to? Carbohydrates, oh, proteins like this, and fat, that essential stable line. You're going to feel better, right? Your insulin levels are going to remain low and you're going to feel better, and that's so important. Tennille, keto has become just my way of life. Right, exactly, yep. And you know what, Tennille, really, it's also my way of life, but I do have times where I'm a stricter ketogenic eater and more relaxed ketogenic eater. But the more we practice this way of eating, the better we get at it. We really, it becomes easier, it becomes a way of life. It doesn't become so difficult. Hi, Yesbel. Does salami count? You know what? Salami, I would say, is a little bit dirty keto, and it's okay. I'd much rather have you eat some salami than to go and grab the box of Ritz crackers. Because the salami, if you look at the back of the package and you make sure, like a lot of the beef jerky that I buy, or turkey jerky that I buy, if you turn over the back, you'll see, I don't have any on my desk right now, I normally do. The carbohydrate count will tell you how much sugar they've added to that product, right? And sometimes it's 1 gram and sometimes it's 5 or 6. I stay away from the ones that are 5 and 6. And you know what? You can make your own. I'm going to try to do this next week. Make my own jerky. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it next week and see how it turns out. It's okay you're being a little bit dirty, Melinda, she says. I'm okay being a little bit dirty. Yeah, it's you know what? We all try to aim for a super clean ketogenic diet. But sometimes we have to let those things, like the salami, come into the lifestyle too. That's okay. The Tina says life happens, exactly. So I want to share some of my simple ideas for eating, okay? These are going to be even more important if you're one of the tens of millions of Americans and Canadians that have trouble with insulin levels. Okay, here goes. Ready? These are like super simple rules that I came up with ages ago. My first thought, if it says low fat, fat-free, or light, it stays in the grocery store, because if they took the fat out, then they put carbs and chemicals in. That's it. Bottom line. Light, throw it out. Don't take it. Second thought, eat food. Yeah, the most important rule in low-carb eating is that real food does not come in a box. No one should have to tell you that your food is natural on the box, right? You should know your food is natural just by looking at it, right? Guys, don't eat anything you don't like. And you'll hear me say this every time I do the first call with you. If you're having bariatric surgery with our group, I'll ask you, do you like yogurt? And if you say no, a lot of times people say, no, but I'm going to eat it. And I say, no, don't eat anything you don't like. Don't eat anything you don't like. We can find things and change those things. Find something that you do like. Eat when you're hungry. Don't eat when you're not hungry, no matter what the clock says. If you wake up in the morning and you're not hungry, don't force yourself to eat. If it's 12 o'clock noon and everyone's having lunch and you're not hungry, don't force yourself to eat. Eat when you're hungry. And okay, so a simple way to remember the things that we do not want to eat. No GPS. What does that mean? No GPS. No grains, no potatoes, no starch or sugar. Okay. It's a big one, right? Yeah. No grains. A lot of people tell me, but we have to have them. And I say, nope, that's a carbohydrate. And people say, oh, but whole grains are so good for us. I say, first of all, there's actually very few foods out there that are truly, really whole grain, even if they say they are on the package. Most foods they say they're whole grain, they're highly processed, and the fiber benefit has been completely ruined, or they're coming with highly refined flours added to them, and usually they have both of the situations. Insulin sensitive people, you can eat real whole grains, but if you're one of the enormous slice of the population with insulin issues, it's going to make things worse. Melinda says, how do I get enough fiber? Oh, darling, eat your veggies. Do you like vegetables? Eat them raw, cooked, steamed. That's how to get your fiber. Eat vegetables. Eat your vegetables. So what if you're not one of the insulin sensitive people? Really, truly not one of the insulin sensitive people. Can you still eat a ketogenic low carb way? Of course you can. Of course you can. I'm one of the good examples, right? Well, I suspect that I have insulin resistance, but I haven't been diagnosed with it. This is self-diagnosed. I'm pretty sure I do. But 2 years ago, I decided that I would cut my carbs as low as I recommend to my pre-diabetic, insulin-resistant diabetic clients. Now, it's not mandatory for my health as it is for their health, but I'm not insulin resistant yet, supposedly. But would this be a problem? And you know what? That's just the thing. Unless you have an exceedingly rare syndrome, then cutting carbs is going to be good for you, even if it's not necessary. So video's almost over. Melinda, do you eat, how about berries? Another way to get fiber. Eat berries, eat spinach, eat all kinds of green leafy vegetables. Eat for fiber. What do you guys eat for fiber? Help Melinda out here. What hides are fiber? Oh, mushrooms. Oh, would love some mushrooms. Peppers. Berries, yeah, exactly, yeah. Berries are excellent because they're low in sugar and they're very high in fiber. So it's one of those beautiful foods. Blueberry, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries. And this is the season, right, for them, so get your berry on. Okay, so I'm almost finished talking. I've been talking for a long time. I try to keep these videos a little bit shorter, but today was a big deal because I wanted you guys to really understand insulin. I want you to understand the role it plays in obesity and in metabolic issues. Yeah, Melinda says she has a hard time because she still can't eat very much, right? So you get your berries and you mash them with the back of the spoon and you maybe add those to your yogurt. Oh, flax seeds. Oh, flax seeds are wonderful. Oh, so high. Oh, flax seeds and chia seeds. Yes, that's what you can do for. If you haven't tried chia or chia, some people say chi, some people say chai, or flax. If you use flaxseed, buy it and grind it or buy it ground, because if you eat flaxseed whole, it's not going to be able to digest. You got to crush that up. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, yeah, love broccoli, love cauliflower. Those are the cruciferous vegetables. Those are awesome, also high in fiber. Slim Fast Advanced has a good amount of fiber. I drink one every morning. I'd like to see the back of the can of the Slim Fast Advanced before I recommend it, but I'd like to see compared to eat some broccoli, and Julie. Okay. Any other comments here? I think that if we're better able to understand how food functions in our body, then it's easy to understand the recommendations, right? The recommendations of why we should eat a low carbohydrate diet or a ketogenic diet. So guys, next week I'm going to continue down this path of on the same path, right? Do I have a menu? Oh, I have tons of menu. But if what you can do is after the video, reach out to me here and text me and let me know what kind of menu you're looking for. A high fiber menu? Are you looking for a low carbohydrate ketogenic? Actually, you know what? The video next week is starting to get into this, into menu planning, ketogenic, and it's going to be where you guys sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and you create your own from the list that I'm going to give you. Because to give you a menu is one thing, and I have them, sure, you can buy them online, but for you yourself to really understand how to put together your own menu, that makes you a boss in your kitchen. That gives you the tools that you need to continue this lifestyle, not just to look on a piece of paper that I give you, right? Okay, so I'm going to dive into the recommending the foods next week on the video. And thanks for watching. You know, it's the middle of the summer. It's really hard to sit down and watch a 30-minute video, right? It's 30 minutes. And I salute you for wanting to learn more about this lifestyle and to continue diving in and understanding why it's such a perfect way of eating to improve your health, why it's so beautiful. I'm going to sign off here. Krista, I'm just about to sign off. Thanks for logging in. Have yourselves a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I get a long weekend here. Remember, July 1st is Canada Day. Wave your Canadian flags for me on Sunday night, or we're going to celebrate Sunday night. And July 4th is coming up, so I'll be celebrating with you guys also. Hugs. Thanks for joining in, and I'll see you guys next week. Oh, I missed it. Watch the replay. It's going to go up right now. Bye, Krista. Talk to you guys later. Bye.